Welcome back to Vex Weekly. Today on Vex Weekly, we have several different bots to talk about, but all revolving around one design. One design that has been perfected by some, struggled by some, but is overall one of the most prevalent designs in the Vex Robotics community for pushback, the S-Bot. So today we'll be looking at two different bots. We'll be looking at Snacky Cakes, the creator and perfecter of the S-Bot, and we'll be looking at the Drumroll Please, which have also made a very good example of what an S-Bot should be. With some innovative tech from both bots, we'll be looking at that today on Vex Weekly. Starting off with probably the most talked about robotics team and probably one of the biggest robotics teams of the season, Snacky Cakes, or 16610A. This team has been insanely good for the whole season and have been the most innovative team of the season, creating designs that almost everyone are using at some point, everyone's thinking about, everyone's catting. This team has been one of the biggest in this season so far, and at the moment they have a 213 skills at the top of the record, setting a new record for the world and gonna make it hard to beat. They have 2 less points than the top driver that you can get, and they have a 96 programming, one of the highest programmings, if not the highest, in the world. So this team has perfected the S design. They have made it to where this is why teams want it. They showed up with it first on the North Dakota signature event, Mall of America, and they went so far and beyond in that competition, doing really well. So that's what makes this design really interesting, is how good it is. At first, when you look at the different designs, S seems like one of those it's definitely the harder one out of the 2 main designs carrying the season, but it's also one of the most rewarding designs throughout the season. In a season full of Reguan, S is the second design that is used, but not by as much. A lot of teams are using Reguan these days, but here's why S is the biggest key. S can hold a lot of blocks. I think now you can make a Reguan, but it has to funnel at some point. And S, I think, has the capabilities of just holding more, but it also has the capabilities of just being an easier time on middle goals, which was one of the big reasons my team wanted to work towards an S design. The middle goals are just such a huge part of the game, especially with the new strategy of rallies and the control zones of the long goals and then playing middle. And so you need a bot that can score well in the middle. Now, people have gotten Reguans to score in middle really well. This is not something that's super hard to do, but it's a lot easier with the S design. And I feel that's a really good thing. Another thing is S is a lot easier to do color sorting with, which, while it's not big right now in the season, I believe that as we go throughout the season, color sorting will be huge. Now, specifically about Snacky Cakes, because they made this design, they have made it well. But what I really want to point out about their bot right now, and this is not something that will be specific to us, but they have this certain tech here that is kind of a blocker, is what I'm going to call it. It's an anti-D-score mech, I think, and so it goes over the long goal part where there's the little gap where a finger or wing or whatever you want to call it can go in and D-score everything, and that is just a really good piece of tech. When everyone has these wings out and they're being able to score everything, being able to have a tech and piece on your robot that can block that is huge. Being able to stop teams without just pushing them is a really big. It also aligns you on the match order, which is another bonus of this part. And I think most teams will come to adopt this as we go throughout the season. Easier on S to put it on, but I think Reguan you can put it on as well. I think it's just an overall really nice piece of tech. You could also modify it to where it could be a middle goal D-score. I think this is going to be a really strong piece moving forward in the Vex community, and if teams are not adopting right now, they really should. I think this is just the key to being a very good team now, adopting this early on. I know my team's going to work to adopt this on a robot because it is just going to be, I think, a really nice piece of tech. Now, then we can move on to another bot. Drumroll, please. They just had some really overall good scoring, some good D-scoring mechs. It was a short reveal video, but one insightful one. Now, when building a nest, there's a few things you want to keep in mind, which are how are you going to make that curve. Personally, my team used mesh, and using that mesh, or even if it's just polycarb strips, or even some teams use bent metal. I don't recommend that, but I think just being able to make that curve, as long as it works, that's as much as what you need. Being able to make it where it can just curve well, and then also keeping in mind how are you going to stop the blocks from going to middle, like doing all that, being careful about where you place your rollers. I think it's all very important stuff. But honestly, I think S could be a really good bot design. Now, I don't think it's going to be what's going to take over worlds like last year's Lady Brown and Conveyor Mech worked, which that was just the ultimate design that everyone used. And I think this year we're going to be seeing the same thing with the Raekwon taking over the Vex community. We're not really going to see many different bots, but I like this bot because it is different. I think it's one of those bots that if you can do it well, you're going to be doing really fine. I think it's definitely got its advantages, but if you're, I think the S design is only for teams who really want to approach something that's a little bit more difficult. I think it's just a little bit harder of a design to build than Raekwon, which is just a straightforward thing. So, but yeah, that's all I've got today on Vex.